It drastically changed my life for the better. It was one of the riskiest decisions I've ever made. Turned
Hmm.
out to be one of the best decisions I've
Hmm.
ever made. I don't see myself ever going back.
Hmm.
I plan on doing this until I retire, because I just love it. It was quite the risk because it's a 100% commission job,
Hmm.
which, a lot of friends and family were like, hey, that's a little risky. But I decided, take that leap, and turns out I'm pretty decent at it. So,
Welcome back to another episode of the Seeds of Success podcast. It's your host, Colin Walters, and today I'm very excited for one of my best friends who actually came on the show. His name is Cody Williams, and he is super successful in sales. And we go deep into why he loves sales, what makes him successful in sales, and also how he got there by doing things that he thought he wanted to do and by pursuing a degree in college and university that he never ended up using because he got into that profession and didn't like it. What was it? Well, you'll have to tune in and find out here. But we dive into a couple other things, right? He's been able to travel to Hawaii 6 times since he started in sales. This was a childhood dream of his. He's been able to buy a boat as a reward to one of his goals for becoming the top sales performer in the organization. They literally created a $3 million sales category award winner after him. And it's in this episode that you'll learn how and why Cody has been and is very successful in sales, and also why he loves it. This will be great for anybody who is looking to get into sales, currently in sales and looking to improve, and anybody that wants to use sales, communication, personal development skills in order to excel in any area of life, whether it's your own business or whether it's your line of profession or career, or maybe it's, in your personal life, however you want to use it. I'm excited to share this episode with you. I'm fired up having just recorded it. It was a pleasure to have Cody Williams on the show. And so here you go. All right, here we go with another episode of the Seeds of Success podcast. We have this one I'm super excited for because we have one of my best friends on the show, Mr. Cody Williams. And Cody and I go back to, man, Harbor Hoops basketball days, total package days, White Sox, Little League baseball, obviously a lot of sports, a lot of school, a lot of friendships, relationships, doing, middle school, high school things together. And then we went to college together. And Cody, it's come full circle. Like, you and I are in the same profession, sales, business. And honestly, man, it's really good to see you. And thanks for coming on the show, and very glad to have you.
yeah, man, great to see you too. It has been a while, and yeah, thanks for having me on.
You bet. And couple things. We'll go ahead and dive into it, Code. And so you're in the profession of sales, and you're in the profession of business, and a couple accolades that you and I, that you sent me, that we've discussed a little bit is, like top in class in customer satisfaction scores, right? For those of you that don't know, Cody is in what many people are not doing nowadays, which is outside sales. Cody works for Valentine Roofing. So he's out in the field, getting his hands dirty, but crushing the sales game. And so, top rated customer satisfaction, top sales award winner for the company. And one specific one was the first, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it was the first $3 million club award winner, or what was that? And what is that?
Yeah, so I was the first one in the company history to hit 3 million sales and, yeah, overall sales, and that was 2021.
Okay.
So our owner's name's Connor Valentine, great guy, one of my good friends nowadays. Um, yeah, started this kind of club after I hit that. We got, now every member who gets it gets a watch. On the inside of the watch, it'll say 3 million club, and we had two more guys last year enter that, which is really cool to see. So.
So you created the club, is what I'm hearing. You
I mean, I
basically
was the
set
first one. First
you
one
hit a
in.
milestone, and then and then the company created a club from it.
Yeah, yeah. And then they told me the next goal is 4 million. So got some work to do this year.
Yeah. Well, cool. Maybe you get another watch, or you get something something cool that you can create.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
see.
well, congrats to your success that you've had, and I know that's not easy work. And one of the things that to me is interesting about sales business is that a lot of the individuals that you speak with, some are like, runs in the family. Mom was in sales, dad was in sales. It runs in the lineage, and they were just bound for sales. A lot of people I speak to, however, are like, you know, I never knew that I was going to end up in sales. It kind of just happened. I'm curious as to what your backstory is, Code, and maybe let them know a little bit about you and how you got into sales. What sparked it for you? Did you just end up here kind of randomly? Did you set out for it? How did you get here?
Yeah, so sales growing up was never something I thought I'd be in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd say throughout school, I mean, we were friends with other people. Nobody probably thought I'd be in sales. I'm more of a kind of a quiet guy,
Mm-hmm.
honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and going through college, I studied criminal justice psychology. Plan was to go into law enforcement, go that route. Out of college, I got a job at Raymond Hall here in Tacoma, Washington, where I was an officer there. Um, and I did not like it. Um, some experiences talking with cops and stuff like that. They told me if there's something else I could do to make good money, I should go that route. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of took that to heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I always knew throughout college, because I was an actual roofer throughout college, which was not very fun. But I knew the sales reps and the guys up top made a lot of money. And I thought, I know a lot about roofing. So I tried to get into that route. My first sales job, I was an inside sales for a building supply company. I just sat at a desk all day. Didn't like that either. It was boring.
Yeah.
I honestly ended up gaining quite a bit of weight just sitting there,
Mm.
and this wasn't for me. And so I started applying to roofing companies for sales positions, interviewed with Valentine Roofing, got on, and haven't looked back since.
A couple things that I take away from that is one, you tried things in order to learn what you didn't like. It's something that we
Mhm.
often talk about on the show is, a lot of the times we can theorize things that we may like, things that we or things that we think we might like, think we might not like, but it's only in the act of doing it, right? Going through the criminal justice, like you went through school, like 4 years of university schooling in order to get a degree to actually get into the career and profession to start doing the thing, only to realize that you don't actually like doing it. It looks like you
Yep.
might say something, or is that just an agreement?
Oh yeah, it's just kind of funny. I had to go to that route, go through that route to get where I'm at now.
Yeah.
When in reality, for my position now, I didn't have to go to college.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I mean, definitely worth it. Great times, learned a lot, obviously. But
Totally.
yeah, it was just part of my journey to where I'm at now. So
Yeah. And I can appreciate that. And for all of those listening, all of those watching right now, if you're thinking about something that you think you might enjoy or think you might not like, just go do the thing and figure it out for yourself. Like you're only going to really know through the act of doing. And so don't be scared to jump in. Don't be scared to, take that course to then go try something. And I mean, that's the only way you're really going to figure it out and know for yourself is in the process of actually doing the thing. Okay. So you realize that that's not the route for you. But then you said something
mm,
that was super interesting, Code, which is the professionals in that career and in that industry told you, hey, if you can go find something else that can make you, a great career financially and bring meaning to your life, go do that thing. And a lot of individuals, including myself, right? I know that we've all been, we've all heard something before and not actually done anything about it. But you said that you took that to heart. And so, and then you
yeah,
did something about that.
yeah, it was just kind of a wake up call because I wasn't necessarily enjoying, working there and the career path that I was on. I wasn't necessarily enjoying it or
Mm-hmm.
happy. Didn't have much of a personal life because just the hours I was working
Mm-hmm.
and just hearing it from someone in the position I was trying to get. I've just meant a lot to me.
Totally.
Appreciated that officer's advice, but yeah, not going to dive into that issue a lot. But I don't think those guys get paid enough for
Yeah.
what they do.
Right.
Um,
Hard work.
we could talk about that for a long time. I'm not going to dive into that,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I said, it was one of those moments in my life where I was like, okay, I'm going to kind of pivot and go this way, and
Mm-hmm.
turned out to be the best decision I ever made.
And so then you pivoted, went that way, got into something that you actually had experience in, something you enjoyed, roofing, went the inside sales route. Again, found out it was another thing that you did not want to do, which was sit at a desk. However, you found
Yeah.
an industry that you were interested in. And so then you got into outside sales, and here you are thriving. Right. So, sorry,
Yes.
yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
it was quite the risk because it's 100% commission job, which, a lot of friends and family were like, hey, that's, a little risky. Um, but I decided, take that leap, and turns out I'm, pretty decent at it. So
Yeah. What do you think makes you decent at it? And I mean, and by decent, ladies and gentlemen, we mean that he's really good at what he does. And again, like to go back to it, Cody has a lot of records at the company and has done very, very well. And I know that, being in sports growing up, being a competitor, it's in your nature to be competitive. And one thing that you
mhm.
mentioned is that if anybody's out there thinking about getting into sales, or you're questioning if sales is right for you because you're not outgoing and you're not super outspoken, look at Cody as a prime example, because to your point, Code, like you're not the most outgoing individual. One-on-one, we have very quality conversations, you and I, and you do speak very well. But it's like, that's not just the typical, it doesn't have to be that way to be in sales. And so
Correct.
what do you think makes you successful, and what do you attribute your success to over time?
I'd say, well, with the sales I'm in, I'm working with homeowners. It's
Mm-hmm.
not business to business, it's business to consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I'm inside their homes. It's more of an emotional decision
Mm-hmm.
for a homeowner, because you're going in there kind of blind, and you're kind of reacting to them, figuring out what they need, what they want, stuff like that.
So you go into the home, and it's an
Yeah.
emotional decision, right? It's personal, right? This
Yeah,
is somebody's
I'd
home.
say
This
for
is,
most people, yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Just because a roof costs a lot more than people think or want to
yeah,
pay for something that, I mean, it's a roof on top of your house.
yeah. That's
Um,
what I thought.
yeah, I'd say helping a homeowner, and not being, I'm not your typical salesperson. Like, when I
Mm-hmm.
think of salesperson, I honestly think of a used car salesman,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a pushy, you need this, you need that,
Mm-hmm.
which in this industry, there are a lot of people like that. And I'm the opposite of that. Sit in your home, we'll go through everything. I'm not going to push you. I'm going to give you my honest opinions
Mm-hmm.
on what you need, what you should do. Um, there's a lot more that goes into roof than just slapping it on,
Mm-hmm.
and actually doing the work myself
Mm-hmm.
is an advantage in my opinion, because I can walk the customer through the process A through Z. So
Mm-hmm.
they're completely comfortable. They know exactly what they're getting. They're going to be happy with it. And, hopefully they never have to worry about it again. So I just think making homeowners comfortable is something I'm very good at,
Mm-hmm.
because it is not the most comfortable thing for me or anybody else in this profession, going into just a stranger's house,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because that's their place. They're welcoming you in. You kind of are abiding by their rules and stuff like that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does make sense. What I hear is that you are you operate in the sense of gaining their trust, which it's different. Like
Mm-hmm.
B2B, like business to business sales is, it appears to be a lot different than business to consumer, because business to consumer, which is what you're doing, is personal. It's emotional. You're dealing with people's real hard earned money in their hands, and you're standing inside their home. And so for you to come in, as you mentioned, as the expert, somebody who knows the process, somebody who's teaching them, hey, these are the things to look. I couldn't tell you the first thing about roofing, so I'm just going to be super bland in my overview of it. But hey, here's what you need to know about the roof XYZ. Here's the things you should be thinking. Here are the things that you might want to consider when making an investment. And then, so what I'm hearing, Cody, is that you help walk them through this process that they're unfamiliar with, that's foreign to them, and you're the expert. You're the trusted advisor. And the key word there being trusted. right? So, I mean, you're the individual who's standing in their home and they're leaning on in order to help them. And so, they don't feel, again, like pushed, like you mentioned, they don't feel like they're being forced into a situation. And so I think that's the first thing I hear about what makes you successful is that you do it with like genuine authenticity. You do it from a standpoint of good morals and values. Honestly, like you're saying, hey, this is what you need, this is what you don't need. And just being super objective about it. Am I understanding that correctly? Is there you have anything to add to
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, any sort of sales, the first thing you want to do is build trust,
Yeah.
obviously. And going B2B, you kind of know exactly what they're looking for. You already have a
Mm-hmm.
product in mind for them, or they've straight up told you, hey, this is what I want. B2C, or you can even say B to homeowner. It's a
Mm-hmm.
little different. Half the time you're going in kind of blind. You don't know what they want. You don't know what to expect. You have no idea what condition their home's in. I've seen some pretty wild stuff, which we
I
could have a whole different
bet.
conversation about. But I'll tell you
Some
one thing
crazy
is I am
smells.
very lucky. Yeah, very lucky to have um, our inside kind of sales support team.
Mm-hmm.
They keyed it up with some pretty good notes and stuff like that.
Mm.
They're awesome, get us prepared for what we need. But you know, when the homeowner calls in, they're not necessarily telling our inside people the whole story, exactly what's
Mm-hmm.
going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of get there, and you're assessing on the fly, and then giving your best, judging what they need and all that. So I'd say that's the main difference when it comes to this inside the home sales compared to, like I said, B2B or anything like that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you still got a team that you're working with though, right? So your inside sales team, they get the lead, they pass you the notes, and then you're taking those notes at face value and having an
Mm-hmm.
idea of what you might be walking into. And then you're being
Right.
able to use your interpersonal communication skills, relationship skills, to build trust and build that trusted advisor aspect to the relationship with the homeowners, and then actually using your knowledge and your expertise in the industry for actually assessing the roof, their needs, and what they actually might be looking for in a home or in a roof,
Right.
excuse me. Yeah.
Yep. And a roof, we do other things in the home as well.
Yeah.
But
Got it.
yeah.
Code, one thing that I remember is coming into your house one day and seeing goals on your whiteboard. Are you a goal setter? Do you write out your goals? Do you have like aspirations for where you want your career to go, this month, 6 months from now, a year from now? How do you approach not only goal setting, but like a vision for your career and what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah. So I definitely write down my goals on the whiteboard
Mm-hmm.
behind the screen right now. So I set yearly sales goals, and then I have personal goals, next to that for the next 5 years. And just constantly seeing it and being reminded of it definitely
Mm-hmm.
helps, push yourself to get there. Um, and one thing I've kind of changed recently is I've set more realistic goals,
Mm.
you know, goals that are accomplishable. Whereas I do have some goals where it's like, I have to bust my butt to make this
Yeah.
happen and stuff like that. But being able to go up there and check those things off the list, that's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah.
And being able to write down a new goal, I think it's a very important thing to do in, business and your personal life. And it also helps keep yourself accountable.
So, can I ask you why you changed from setting these huge, monstrous goals to, bringing it back down to in your words, realistic level? But I'm assuming it's still a challenging level, right? And I think it's because, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe you weren't hitting those. And so it didn't feel as fulfilling. Whereas you can lower it a little bit, hit the goals, and then use that as fuel to push to newer goals. Like, was there a specific reason why, or is that about it?
Yeah, exactly. And there's some year after year, you're like, oh, I didn't get there. And it's
Yeah.
like, all right, let's lower this a little bit, hit it,
Mm-hmm.
know that I can do this, so then I should be able to get to the year,
Yeah.
instead of making just a huge jump, which some things, there's a huge jump. But yeah, setting goals that are reasonable, achievable is going to overall, get you to the point where you can hit those, huge accomplishments or,
Mm-hmm.
higher goals down the
Yeah.
line.
Right.
It's helped me. Um, Yeah.
And I know that one of the things that going along with those goals is when I saw them, you had rewards that were attached to the goals,
Mm.
right? And I know that you had tangible things that when you hit X, you received X. And so is that like, how do you, is that part of your system? And do you just enjoy doing that? Like, what's sort of the idea behind goals and rewards for you?
I'm trying to think back to when you came over, what those things
I
were.
saw I saw you hit X number of revenue, then you were going to buy a boat. That is specifically what I
Ah,
saw. I
did that.
remember that
Yep.
vividly. Yeah.
Yep.
Did
I
you get
got
the
that
boat?
one. I did. That was a
You
pretty cool
got it.
thing.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, it's something I've always wanted growing up. And
Mm,
so I was able to do that 2 years ago.
mm,
And then there's another one. I like to, if I hit a certain goal, I like to take a trip.
nice.
The past, 6 years, I've gone to Hawaii in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty cool for me. I've, didn't really get to get there growing up. So
Mm,
now the fact I can go, hopefully every year is pretty awesome.
mm. What I like
Yeah,
about
just
those.
the,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, the reward part of it, it's, you want to hit your goal just for yourself, to say you did it.
Yeah.
The reward part of it for me, it's kind of gives you a little bit extra motivation.
Yeah.
You look at it, you're like, man, I want to go to somewhere tropical this year, or man, I really, for example, wanted to buy a boat, and I wasn't gonna let myself do it until I hit that goal.
Hmm.
Even if
And
I could do it, if I didn't hit that goal, I wasn't gonna do it for myself. So,
so then if you didn't hit it, what would you do if you didn't hit it? You would push
oh,
it
it would
out?
just go on the board. It would just go on the board for next year. Like
Yeah.
that boat one's been on there for a long time, and it
Ouch.
took me
Yeah.
four
Yeah.
years, 4 years to get there. Even though I could go out and get one, but
Hmm.
I didn't hit my personal goal, so I never got it.
I got you. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of gamification type of idea. Like, I mean, I was just working on a project for the business here yesterday. Like, needed to build out this video trailer, and so trying to get all this footage together. And I'm like, so it seems like this big, overwhelming process, but just broke it down into like bite-sized chunks, 30 minutes here, hour there. But I set like I really been wanting this like sweat. I follow this company called That Triathlon Life, and it's just like I looked at my closet. I'm like, I need some new sweatshirts. All right, cool. I'm going to put their sweatshirt as the reward for hitting this little goal. But one thing I want to actually touch on with your goals and rewards code is that they do have a lot of meaning. Like one thing that we do on this show is dive into people's why and their mission and like what they feel not what they feel pulled to and drawn to. And a couple of the rewards that you mentioned stemmed from, like a deeper rooted why in the sense of you mentioned that you always wanted to go to Hawaii when you were a kid. Like you went back to your roots with that reward. And you mentioned that the boat was something that you loved doing growing up and that you loved. And so for everybody listening and watching here, go set a reward, set a goal, and then set the reward that is meaningful. Like dig deep for like what Cody just talked about, and allow it to drive you through reasons and your why from your child. Like dig into your childhood. What did you love doing, and use that as a driving force to help you go and attain those goals and have a lot of fun with it. So that was one of my takeaways from what you just mentioned, Code. Cool to hear. And then diving in, so sales, it's obviously not all. I mean, you've had a lot of success. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. Like a lot of adversity, a lot of setbacks and challenges within the sales profession. Do any come top of mind for you when I bring up what challenges you have faced and what setbacks you've faced? That what comes to mind when you hear challenges, adversity, pain like associated with the sales profession and your career?
I'd say being 100% commission, if you don't sell a job, you don't get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd
Mm-hmm.
say a big challenge is just having that in the back of your mind, because
Yeah.
it's if, you have a bad month, you're not making any money.
Mm-hmm.
But also is a very motivating thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Say another challenge is homeowners they don't have to get back to you. They can just, you give them your estimate or your bid, and they can look at it and say, cool, we'll call you next week. They could never call you. They could just ghost you. So that's pretty frustrating.
What do you do?
Um,
What do you do in those scenarios? Like, obviously working in sales, you'll hear Fortune is in the follow up, right? You're calling, you're
mm,
emailing, you're texting. I mean, do you have any like tips or strategies for individuals that ghost you or go dark and unresponsive? Like, what are parts of your process for overcoming that?
yeah. So if I don't get a response or anything, typically I'll kind of lay off a little bit,
Yeah.
maybe reach out to them every once in a while. Me personally, even though I am a salesperson, I typically don't like salespeople, if that makes sense. Pretty much just the pushy ones, because I don't like to be followed up with a lot. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm going to make my decision. I'm going to reach out to you. If I have questions, I'll reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of reframe my strategy around that is
Hmm.
people have lives, people are busy. They're going to get back to you at some point if they really want to. It's okay to send them a reminder every once in a while. And after a while, if there's no response at all, you can kind of slide them over into, maybe a lost lead or somebody will reach back out to in like a year or something
Yeah.
like that. Or you can,
Right.
I'm constantly driving around. So I'll be like, okay, I remember this house. This person still doesn't have any roof on there yet.
Hmm.
So, that's a year down the road, maybe even 2 years. I'll send them an email or send them a text. And at that point, if I don't get a response, who knows? They might have moved, they don't live there anymore, or they're just flat out not going to get a new roof. So,
Yeah.
and I think at that point, it's not worth wasting my time on something like that, where I can move on to customers who are actually interested or, who want to sign up and stuff like that.
I think that last point you make is super important for people to hear, which is knowing how to prioritize your time. It's not to say that if you don't hear from somebody for a week, 2 weeks, a month, it's to cut bait. Like you said, put them in the lost lead category, right? Or put them in the follow up in 6 months or follow up in a year category. And then you have that endless repository of names and homeowners and leads that you can go back to and set blocks in your calendar to actually go and follow up with that. Have your inside sales team follow up with that. Like set up systems to ensure that at some point in time they're continuing to be followed up with, but then knowing that your time is valuable and actually prioritizing it with real leads and real homeowners and real people that have real needs right now that you can potentially help and solve for. So that's a huge point that I wanted to emphasize right there, which is what you described, prioritizing where to spend your time and not wasting time and spinning wheels. What would you so a lot of individuals listening to this show are in sales or
Mm.
looking to get into sales or are toying with the idea of getting into sales. I don't even want to say what's one piece of advice that's super generic, but what's a mindset that someone can think about or a mindset that someone can adopt for getting into sales and staying consistent with sales? Like what is something that you latch onto, day after day, week after week that you have either ingrained as a mindset or, whether that's overcoming adversity, consistency, hard work. What is something that comes to mind when it comes to mindset around sales for you?
Yeah, I'd say first thing is if you're thinking about getting into sales, do it.
Hmm.
That's the first
Huh.
thing there.
How about that?
Um, yeah, mindset wise, if you're on a team or have, on a company with a bunch of different sales reps, don't compare yourself to the other reps in the company. Just focus on yourself
Hmm.
because when you start worrying about other things, your mind's going to go, you know, going to wander. You're going to forget about why you're there, which for all of us, for the most part, is to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're in commission only sales, you control how much money you make.
Mm-hmm.
So mindset wise, again, come in there hungry, ready to do the work because it's all on you.
Mm-hmm.
The company can only do so much for you. At the end of the day, you have to sell yourself, keep that hunger going every day to make
Mm-hmm.
as much money as you possibly can.
Hey, why do you say just do it? Why? If somebody's thinking about sales, why just do it?
Mhm. It drastically changed my life for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was one of the riskiest decisions I've ever made. Turned
Mm-hmm.
out to be one of the best decisions I've
Mm-hmm.
ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't see myself ever going back.
Mm-hmm.
I plan on doing this until I retire. because I just love it,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I've got a competitive side to me, and
Totally.
I've been doing this for almost, shoot, I'm on year 6 now.
Yeah.
And every time I make a sale, it's still the same thing. I get pumped, get excited, and then
Yeah.
it's got it down, on to the next one.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that it never gets old.
Hmm.
It's never gonna get old for me
Yeah.
personally. Hmm.
God, I love that, Cody, because you love sales and you love the specific type of sales that you're in, right? Because you could have been in sales in that inside sales position and not have this same feeling of conviction for wanting to be in this career until you retire, right? But because you continued to try things out and you continued to fine tune what you were looking for through experimentation and through the act of doing, that's how you really found something that you did love. And you found this, this position, outside sales, roofing, being involved with people, right? Homeowners, things that you know about and that you're passionate about. I think that's where a lot of this genuinely stems from, if I'm like understanding
Yeah,
you correctly. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And I think it even goes deeper than that.
Mm,
Um, Personally, I'm a big fan of helping others.
mm,
That's originally why I wanted to get into law enforcement and stuff like that.
mm,
And I am continuing to help others
mm,
and helping others with their, roofing needs, which a roof, honestly, it's typically protects your biggest investment, which is your home. And so going into somebody's home, sit down, talk to them, like just say, hey, this is what you need to protect your biggest asset in your family. And just, seeing homeowners happy with everything, how the project went and all that. At the end of the day, it's what it's all about.
mm,
Because we've got, Valentine Roofing, amount of positive reviews we have is just awesome. Our customers love us. I get a bunch of emails after jobs are done saying how happy they are with it. They're so glad they picked us and stuff like that. And that's really what it's all about, you
mm.
know.
Sounds so rewarding for you. You get a lot of fulfillment
Yeah,
out of it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I love your response because um, it's, you believe in what you're doing. And I think that, because at first I heard you say you're in it to make money, which of course, like, in our careers, in our professions, like if we weren't making money and if we weren't making an income that can support the life that we want and support the individuals and our, the things that we enjoy doing and what we want to create our life, like we wouldn't be doing it. Um, nor a lot of us, I don't want to speak for everybody, but myself included and yourself. However, it is deeper than the money. So I'm glad that you touched into that because I mean, you love helping people and being of service, hence your, top rated customer satisfaction reward, along with the top sales award and creating your own $3
Mm-hmm.
million award category. I think that they very well go hand in hand, and doing it from a sense of being the trusted advisor for the homeowners and being that confidant that they can come to and know that you have their best interest in mind is a lot of what I'm hearing throughout this conversation. Is that accurate? Is there anything else that you want to add to that? Or
Um, no, I'd say that's pretty spot on.
yeah,
Um, yeah, just you know, making money is not a bad thing. Like I said,
no,
that's just
not at
kind of
all.
surface. That's just surface level.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is definitely deeper. Um, for me personally, I'm not sure if that's the case for everybody, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think you nailed it. So,
Yeah. It, and it also doesn't have to be surface level when it comes to the money either. I mean, there's a lot of people supporting a lot of people in this world, family, kids, spouses, generations to come. Like making meaningful money is something that I also believe you're doing, get like having fun rewards, but also rewards that are back to your roots and like things that you genuinely love to do. And I know that you do those things with other people and other people that you love. And you're a very generous person. I know how much you also give and help out people when it comes financially, which is, I'm just going to take a stab at something that you enjoy doing is being able to do those things as well. So, Code, we'll go ahead and dive into the final 4 questions here, man. Again, thanks for being on the show here. And It's been an
Yeah, for
awesome
sure.
conversation. I'm really enjoying it. Obviously, when we get up and chop it up with sales, it's a really
Hmm.
exciting thing to do. And I'm hoping that a lot of individuals are finding value in this episode. They have, there's a lot to learn from you, myself included. So, first question, it revolves around learning. And the more that
Hmm.
I ask this question, the more that it continues to evolve in time. It started out as, what is your favorite either book or podcast or YouTube channel that you like learning from? At the end of the day, where do you go to learn? Like, what do you enjoy learning? Do you follow somebody, or like, what is your take on where you like to learn and how you go about learning?
So there is one podcast that I've learned a lot recently from.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Roof Strategist.
The Roof
Like
Strategist.
the Roof Strategist.
Amazing.
Yep, his name is Adam Benson.
Okay.
Um, we've gotten to work with him a lot recently. Great guy. He's done everything you could possibly imagine in the roofing industry. It's nice to, our team, we have kind of a personal relationship with him, which is really cool.
Cool.
Learn a lot from him. He uploads videos very frequently. I also listen to, it's called Real AF with Andy Frisella.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you've heard. Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's an entrepreneurial podcast, just kind of a life podcast as well. Um, Another one I do listen to Joe Rogan. I like the guest variety he has on the show.
Yeah.
You can learn, he just says, you learn everything. You learn something new every time you listen to him,
Correct.
which is really cool. And then obviously, you got the Seeds of Success podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Shout out Seeds, baby.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Book wise, this year, I started reading Endure by Cam Haynes.
Okay.
It's been a great book so far, just kind of, pushing yourself and stuff like that. A couple that stand out in the past that I've read over the last year were two Tim Grover books, Winning and Relentless.
Nice.
Those are two good ones. YouTube, I honestly don't have a YouTube. I don't really watch YouTube very much.
All good, man. You get,
Yeah, maybe I should
you're
start.
learning.
So,
Hey,
yeah.
do whatever's working for you. And that's like,
Mhm.
that's how this question has evolved is, we've had individuals on the show say they don't do podcasts. They don't do YouTube. They, that's all, books, podcasts, YouTube is all great, but they like learning through doing and, learning through social media. Like you can get super quick information fast. And so it's honestly, we've had so many different responses now. And, but what I like about your response is that a lot of it is mindset, right? You have your specific industry podcast, which is awesome. That is very tailored to what you do. And then you have, Tim Grover, right? I just had Winning in my hands yesterday. Winning, Relentless, and Cam Haynes, all mindset driven, all, which is what you will need getting into this profession and then staying successful in it as well. So cool. And then 75 Hard, Andy Frisella, check it out if you haven't.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't completed it yet, but plan to at some point.
Took me nine attempts to complete mine. So, but
As
number
he would
9,
say, as
we
he
got
would
it.
say, start tomorrow. That's what he
Yep.
would say. So,
Yeah. Well, next time you want to, man, let me know. So,
yeah. And another thing to touch on that we just talked about,
mm-hmm.
um, I think in sales, having a mentor is very important.
Okay.
Somebody to learn from. And if you were to pick somebody, for example, on your team or company, pick the guys at the top to
Mm.
learn from. The guys at the bottom like to give you a lot of advice, in my opinion, but it's not necessarily the best advice. Learn this from experience. I gave a shout out to a couple guys I used to work with, John Anderson and Kes Anderson come to mind. No
Mm.
longer work with us, but learned a
Mm.
lot from those guys, and I'd say they're part of the reason why I'm at where I'm at today.
Such a great point. Thank you for saying that. You're now the second person to have said that on this show. And it's something that one of my mentors taught me years ago was go see what the guys at the top of the leaderboards are doing. Misery loves company. Hence,
Mm-hmm.
the bottom of the totem pole, the bottom of the scoreboard, they again love to give advice and for where they're at, I wouldn't suggest taking it. It's not to say don't be kind, like don't be a good person,
Right.
But and to your point earlier, don't play the comparison game either. Look at who's up at the
Mhm.
top, analyze what they're doing, work with them, one-on-ones, mentorship, however you see best fit. Use what they're doing, but compare yourself to who you were yesterday, last month, last year. So I think that was a great point I wanted to emphasize on.
Right. And that's why
Yeah,
that popped into my head because I just listened to
yeah,
that episode pretty recently.
yeah,
But great advice. Yep.
yeah. Second question here is, what is your favorite quote, Cody?
Favorite quote. I mean, there's a bunch that come to mind, but I kind of jotted one down here is that failure isn't a bad thing, but quitting is because when
Hmm.
you quit on yourself.
Hmm.
I've heard that, we've heard that kind of a bunch throughout our lives probably, but I recently heard it when one of my friends said it to their kid and it
Hmm.
just kind of hit me. And I was like, that's a great quote. You can use that your entire life.
Don't quit on yourself. It's one of those, especially being 100% commission, right? And obviously, like grand scheme of things, that's obviously super important, but in life in general, right? Continuing that muscle. And sometimes we just, we hear something some way at some certain time and it hits us differently. And so it's one of those things that we've heard for so long, but it just takes that one moment to hear it differently, that it really
Mm-hmm.
actually hits and you feel it. Um,
Yeah. And just,
mhm,
you know, failure is not a bad thing. It's
mhm,
part of the process.
mhm,
Um, there are probably a lot of people out there that get caught up in, thinking that they failed
mhm,
and that's it. They kind of give up. Especially in sales. I mean, we fail all the time,
mhm,
but you're on to the next one, keep moving.
mhm. Back to the mindset. Um,
Yep.
Third question, man. What is a bucket list item for you? I know that you got Hawaii travels in there on an annual basis, what it sounds like. You got your boat. I know you
Hmm.
just picked up your dream property that you were able
Yep.
to make an investment in. I don't even know if you want to just talk about that for this question or give us a bucket list item that you still have. Like what comes to your
Yeah.
mind when you hear that?
I'd say build my house is number
Yeah.
one. Really looking
Yeah.
forward to that. Um,
Tell people what that
hopefully the
means to you.
next.
What do you mean build your house? Like I want to give a super brief intro there, like little
Mhm.
context, little backstory for it.
Okay, so I bought my, you know, dream property last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I've always wanted. Kind of in the back of my mind, thought, maybe it's not attainable. And I'd say the only reason I was able to do it was because the job I had, I'm getting into sales. But growing up, where we grew up, there's a lot of water around us. Being able to see the water was something I've always wanted to do.
Mm,
And, found a piece of property and I was like, have to pull the trigger on it. Got it. It was, probably one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. And yeah, just gonna build my house there and, develop the property and everything and cross, one of the goals off the old life list.
amazing.
Um, yeah, hopefully I can get it done in the next, 4, 5, 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, before I'm 35 would be ideal.
It's not a bad position, Code. Congratulations on the property.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Is there anything else you wanted to add from the bucket list item?
Yeah, the one thing I'd like to do, even though I kind of touched on earlier, my goal is to, go to Hawaii and stuff like that. But I want to travel more, around the world just because there's so much to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those experiences I want to have.
Mm-hmm.
So doing that, hopefully in the future, go see all the cool places this world has to offer.
Cool. Anywhere in particular?
I'm a big tropical guy, so anywhere tropical would be nice, but
Yeah.
there's also a lot of other cool things to see, you
Yeah.
know.
Cool. All right, Code. Last question is, what would 65-year-old Cody say to you in your current day self?
You would say keep moving forward and pushing yourself. It's going to all be worth it in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's work-wise, personal life, all those things. Just pushing yourself every day is all you can do to become the best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm. And I know that we all have, yes, we're talking sales, career, business, there's also all things of life that go into that. So I think that that piece of advice is directly applicable to whatever anybody's going through, whatever anybody might be going through professionally, personally, to keep moving forward, as hard as it may seem at times.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Code, this has been an awesome conversation, man. And so I'm very glad that you reached out and wanted to come on the show. And as soon as you did, I knew that it was such a great place for you to come and share your story and give you a platform for you to be able to help individuals in sales, career, business, but also life as well. There was a lot to take out of this episode. And I just want to thank you for your time. I know that you work in outside sales and had to download Zoom for this meeting and then couldn't figure out how to turn on the camera. So it's not something that
That is
we've run
true. Thanks
into.
for telling everybody that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's awesome. I'm like,
Yep.
all right, now turn the camera down. There we go.
Right.
That's awesome. But hey, why you don't know that is because of how successful you are, in what you do and really helping homeowners, as you mentioned, protect their biggest investment and their biggest asset in their life, which is super cool, man. Thanks for coming on to share your story and really appreciate your time to hear Code. And thanks for coming on.
Oh, sure, man. Thanks for having me. It was fun. And yeah, hopefully we can do it again soon.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon, Code.
All right, man.